What's good, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Full Circle. I'm your host, as always, Harmon Jr. Please feel free to find me at Harmon Jr. on all your favorite social media websites and all that good stuff. And what's up, y'all? You know what? Pokemon month is still going strong. It is. Last year, we started this tradition on the 20th anniversary, and we're keeping it going strong. And I'm excited because if you remember, Pokemon month was cut one episode short last year because Texas froze over, the government collapsed. It was nonsense. And my guest this week was supposed to be on that week it all went to hell, but he is here. He is back and on a show that was probably going to be doubly more important than the show was going to be last year. Give it up, everybody, for Abdallah Smash. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, what is happening, Abdallah? It's Abdallah here. So happy to be here. Thanks so much for keeping me in mind. And just like you said, I'm very excited. A lot of things happening in Pokemon like that we're talking about right now that's going to set the stage for the rest of the franchise. It's amazing. Anyway, pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and just in case people don't know, which they should because you're kind of a Nintendo superstar, if I do say so myself, who are you exactly and what do you do?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm a Nintendo brand ambassador. I've been playing Nintendo games ever since I was a small kid, but more recently, for the last 7, 8 years, I've been doing YouTube, and I do family-friendly gameplay videos of everything Nintendo. You also may have recognized me from the Super Mario Maker 2 Invitational. I won that thing back in LA before COVID, and it was super fun. But other than that, gameplay, YouTube, streaming, Nintendo, that's all you need to know.
Man, great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah.
And everyone, I told you this episode was coming. People wanted it at the top of the month, but no, we had to let the dust settle. We are going to be talking about Pokemon Legends. And Abdallah, real quick, how do you say the god of all Pokemon's name?
Pokemon Legends Arceus with a hard K.
I'm in the Arceus camp. Like, I don't know why. Like, it's always been fun growing up. Like, if the Pokemon name was never said in the anime, it was never canonical. And so you had things like people saying Lugia and Lugia. And, neither are right nor wrong. And I remember when they announced this game, I was like, oh, God, here it is. This has been one of the most highly debated Pokemon names as long as I can remember since its introduction. And I was like, it's going to be all over the place. You're going to hear, like, Arceus, Arceus, all these other things. I remember Milotic was a big one, too. I remember when I started going to cons and things, people be like, Milotic. And I'm like, what is a Milotic? Doesn't even sound like Pokemon.
I mean, ultimately, like, you're correct. I mean, it's not wrong to call it Arceus, right? Like, in the Japanese anime, that's how they pronounce it, right? But it's more along the lines of the connotations of the word arse in, other dialects, right? So people didn't want, like the Pokemon Company International, they didn't want people to say arse or associate the word arse with God Pokemon, right? And then at the same time, like, you're playing Pokemon Legends over here, and you get this, what's the name of the phone?
The Arc phone?
Oh, it's the Arc phone, but it's Pokemon Arceus? Is that right? Okay. I'm just trying to understand that.
You make a great point, sir. You make a great point. So to make everyone happy, we will be referring to the game simply as Legends going forward because everyone agrees that's how you say that word.
That's correct. I mean, no one wants to be calling. They don't want to get a text message on their arse phone. So, I mean, there's that too. But I mean, honestly, they're both correct. But for branding purposes and not making it sound like arse, Pokemon Company just changed the official pronunciation to Arceus. There's a little backstory. So
that's fun. I actually did not know that. That is making me more inclined to respect the wishes of the Pokemon Company and say. Yeah. Arceus. I'll get there.
Yeah, it's hard, but whatever. Honestly, I mean, you take a look at any Pokemon fan, and they're going to have their own pronunciations on all the Pokemon, and they're going to try to say that it's canon one way, it's canon the other, but, honestly, just drop it. It's not a big deal.
What amazes me, though, Pokemon who have, like, hard names always seem to be unanimous across the board. Like, you look at Cyndaquil, and I've never met someone who didn't say Cyndaquil. And I feel like that's a name you think people might have difference of pronunciations. And there's other ones that's like super long and you think will be super hard and everyone has like the same pronunciation. I'm just like, It's always the easy ones. The easy ones that get everybody. But I digress.
Right. Anyway.
So Legends is out. It's in the wild. Everyone's... most people have beaten it or at least, got to some segment of the end game. And right off the back of that, I know you've been streaming this game a lot. What is your definitive opinion of the game at this point?
I love this game, honestly. I think after playing Pokemon for over 20 years, like the entire franchise has been 90% battling, right? You go through and literally you walk in front of a trainer, you do a battle. You press the A button to win, right? That's been the entire thing. 90% battling. You can go through and steamroll the entire game with your starter if you wanted to in all generations, right? But this game, I like the fact that they turn it the other way around. It's 90% catching and evolving and like exploring the entire Pokemon and a very, very little amount of battling over there. So I like how they completely turned that around. I do wish that they kind of made it a little bit more geared, maybe like 60-40 or even 70-30 catching. Me being, such a big fan of the franchise and battling and competitive and move sets and this, that, or the other, I kind of miss that in this game. And I don't think that it got enough attention. But other than that, I think the game is stunning. I think that this is what Pokemon should have been as soon as next generation consoles came out. And overall, I think it's laying the groundwork for the next upcoming titles and next upcoming generations, even if it's going to be remaking different Pokemon games. Like we got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, which was like taking a 2D game and making it like pseudo 3D running around. So imagine that game remade like for a fourth time or whatever, and doing it this way, where you can throw Pokeballs and catch stuff and explore an overworld. So I think it's definitely laying the groundwork for the future ahead, and they did an amazing job with it.
Oh, definitely. Something I want to elaborate on that you touched is, remaking the games because, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl came out right before this game, which I think was intentional to, familiarize, yourself with the Sinnoh region, especially if you've never been there, and
Yeah.
yada, yada, yada. So I remember, going to the Three Great Lakes for the first time and being like, wow, this is what it looks like. This is what it would look like really fully realized in 3D. But it was Snow Point Temple that really showed me like, wow, this is what an iconic, huge location in Pokemon could look like, in the real world. And it was just stunning. I was just thinking about, imagine climbing the Sky Pillar fully realized in 3D. It would probably just be mind-blowingly good. And to the catching mechanic, what I remember the first couple of hours of this game, I was like, ooh, I feel like this could get really monotonous and boring and tedious. But then
Yeah.
once you understand about how you just need the 10 research points to get it, your Pokédex filled out, and how the game wants you to play and how to play it, it's really not that tedious. It's actually kind of fun and like a game within a game. It's like, oh, I don't have to catch this Pokemon. I can throw this type of food at it. I can battle it. I can hit it with this move. I can do all
Yeah.
these different things and ways to make the game interesting to also help me fill out the Pokédex. And, I thought it was going to be annoying doing that, but I'm like, no, you're back in time. Your Pokédex is like a real life journal of, Pokemon. It's just, so the way I keep explaining this game to people, this game is probably like a base 7 or 8, like if just looking at it as a game. But the more you know about Pokemon, the more you love about Pokemon, the better it just continually gets. Like it builds
Yeah.
on what we know about Pokemon, and you see those things, being full. It's if you know how Pokemon behave and what they do and the type of environments they live in, and when you see it fully realized in Legends, it just adds a special quality to the game. I can't really put into words.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on there. I love it how, if you're an old school Pokemon fan and you don't want to go around and play a stealth game, you can go over and just throw your Pokemon in battle, whittle down their HP, give them a status condition, and catch them if you want. Or you just throw some wing balls, jet balls, and go from there. So, yeah, and just like overall, just seeing the Pokemon naturally in their environments is astounding. It's so cool. You can catch them falling asleep. You can find an area where Mr. Mime is, and he's legit like miming over here, and he sits down with his legs 90 degree, and he like opens up a can of like soda, and he starts drinking, right? Like it's so crazy to see how they programmed all that stuff, and yeah, just like you said, like making the Pokedex from scratch, super cool concept.
And it's just so we talk about, is this a mainline game, which I don't really think it is, especially considering its intro. We it starts off, you're taken to a different universe and it plays on that with the story and stuff. So this can easily, be moved into non-canon, non-mainline, or however you want to classify it. But at the same time, what does this mean for the series? Like, I can't see all these different forms and quote unquote new Pokemon being thrown away. Like, is Scyther ever gonna see Gen 9 and Scyther doesn't have a second evolutionary line? Or, what do you feel this is gonna do for the series going forward? Because I don't want to see another male metal situation where it's introduced in Go and it becomes like this weird throwaway pseudo non-Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think that they're going to throw away, and I don't think that it's going to be a one-off with all these Pokemon. I mean, ideally, I would love it if they retrofit a bunch of the Pokemon into maybe free DLC, maybe paid DLC or something like that in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, or in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Like case in point, Enamorus, right? A Pokemon that's brand new. It's not a new form. It's a new Pokemon, like part of the Genie trio. Now there's four of them, right? Like, where did it go? Thousands of years ago, right? So there had to have been some sort of way of implementing that into the future games. And I don't think that they're going to, ignore it. I think they're going to keep them in, and it'll just be like, I don't know, maybe a side quest. Or like, oh wow, what is this black augurite that we found over here in a cave? Cool. Like, let's use it on Scyther and evolve it. Oh my gosh, a new species. Cool. We haven't seen this species in thousands of years, right? Like, there's always ways to implement all of those Hisuian forms in some way, shape, or form. Even if they use the generic trope of space-time travel, there's a rift in the sky, and now the Hisui Pokemon are coming in, right? Like, they can figure it out. I mean, it's so trite. It's so overdone in like movies, like like the recent Spider-Man, or just like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, it's been done, and it seems to be the trend of like just kind of breaking that wall and allowing anything to happen.
Yeah, I guess we'll get another Sun and Moon situation. Just case, I'm not a fan of the Ultra Beast. Like, I know people, I'm just not. But I'm like, maybe, Alola loves this wormholes, giant wormhole over Alola, and like, here you go. Here's all the Hussein forms. They came. But I mean, you're probably right. It's probably gonna be like, oh, we discovered the new rock. We discovered a new thing. One thing I did find interesting is that the fossil Pokemon were still extinct in this game. I really thought we were gonna see them alive and well. But I was like, oh man, they've really been gone for just millions of years. They're still very much canonically extinct Pokemon.
Well, I mean, which fossil Pokemon are you talking about?
Oh, Carniados and Sheldon.
Like, well, they're in the game.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
they're
you
in the,
can.
but like you see in the Highlands, you find the cave with their fossils in it, like,
Yeah.
and so I mean, but they
But
only appear in the space time rift, which
yeah, yeah.
I'm
That's also. I mean, that's up to interpretation, right?
I guess you're right.
If they come in the distortion.
I mean, technically they could be just running around somewhere. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, they're. I mean, you were absolutely correct. They are only available in distortion, so one can absolutely see that they're extinct. They're gone. They're fossils. But yeah, I really like that little detail. It's just making even more lore. And one thing that I wanted to point out was like with the incorporation of Pokemon, I just love the idea of, how is Pokemon Company going to incorporate all these older Pokemon from the Hisui region into the new games, right? Like, how are they going to do that? That's so cool because, like, Laventon, he's from Galar. He's from the Galar region. And that says that in, like, Raichu's Pokedex entry, right? Raichu's Pokedex entry is like, yo, Raichu can, like, shock, 100,000 volts. He can easily put down a Caparaja from my old region, right? Like, so he kind of, like, puts that over there. So, like, what happens if they added a DLC where you can find Laventon's notebook or something like that in a
Oh,
weird old cave, and then you read it, and then it's like, oh wow, this is the Pokedex, right? This is the ancient Pokedex, and it's got notes on, Cleaver, notes on Enamorus, and then you can go on quests in Pokemon Sword and Shield to find those Pokemon coded into the game. Man, that would be so cool.
that
Ah,
would. You, you bring up an excellent point because I only noticed this recently. I started doing like, oh, let me fill out the entries. I've had so many Pokemon where like I've caught a couple and stuff, but I'm still at research point 8, 9, or what have you. And I started reading the Pokédex entries, and they're extremely fascinating. If you haven't, people, you should go read every single last one because, like I said, they give you little clues and details like that. And unlike any other Pokemon game before, it's so aware of the world as a whole and how the
yeah.
world interacts with each other. Like, how not only, oh, this Pokemon's from Kanto or this is what happens in Kanto. Like, no, the differences between Kanto and Hoenn and Unova, it connects the world in such a fascinating way, and in a way that makes me believe that we could realistically see a Pokemon game where it's like, maybe we do go to different regions and stuff, and we can see how, even if it doesn't have a regional form, how Pokemon interact, or maybe how their stats could be different caught in one region versus another one, which from a competitive standpoint, if this game was competitive, would just be a whole new layer of just detail and craziness that we have to put ourselves through.
Yeah, I would love it. Like honestly, if they made 151 Pokemon in the Kanto region, I would be there in this kind of genre. I don't care. I don't need full like 900 Pokemon national decks. No, I don't. You make this exact same physics in like the overworld of Kanto, I'm in. I would do it
Oh,
in a heartbeat.
oh,
I'd pay 60 for that.
completely. If they had like the Legend series, remakes of just all the games that because you said it, like with Let's Go, if we just got like another remake of Kanto, this would be the third, fourth one, and it was just in the Legends format, and we ran around, and like you said, it wasn't just catching it. We got it maybe to like 60-40, 50-50, or whatever. We still have the battles. Maybe not have the agile and strong style. If they were, I
Yeah.
wouldn't complain. And we just did that in a fully realized Kanto. Scaled properly, buildings, all the set pieces. Like, I think that could easily be like a game of the year for me, and not like just because I love Pokemon. Just if it was done right, I feel like it would just blow everyone away. Because as much I do love Legends, and and yeah, it's clear technical limitations. It does. It could be a game that easily came out 5-6 years ago, what have you. But like, yeah, if you just did it to today's standards, and everything was as good as it, this was a starting point. Like, I could see that be a game of the year easily, whether you love
Yeah,
Pokemon or not.
absolutely. If it's not already game of the year, like we both know it's going to be. Like it what stinks about it is that it came out in January. So like
So we'll
yeah,
forget
people are gonna
about it come November.
right, right. I mean, we're gonna get games like I don't know, Breath of the Wild 2 potentially that could be nominated for Game of the Year, but I don't know who's doing the nominations. But this game is totally a Game of the Year contender.
Oh yeah, it's I always say it's amazing what Nintendo, the Pokemon company, is able to do with the resources that they have. I'm not saying that they're putting themselves in a box, but it's just like, if you told any other developer to make a game this good with these constraints that the Switch just has, I feel like they wouldn't be able to do it. Like, it wouldn't happen. We would just get something that was unplayable, because as much as people love to talk about the textures and everything, the Pokemon look amazing. I mean,
Uh,
this is probably the best 3D model rendering. Like, I was talking to my friend, I'm amazed the game can run as well as it does without crashing.
yeah,
To
I
be
mean,
honest.
it's just honestly, I don't know. Pokemon being a multi-million, if not billion-dollar franchise, you would think that they'd reach out to other development staff to help polish the game a little bit more, maybe push it back a few months. Like, I don't know. It's just really, I don't know. I like to take both sides of the argument. I'm on your side about, the graphics, they're not a priority in the game. We can all admit that. But like at the same time, like you got the money, like spend it, right? Make it so beautiful. Make it so that this Onyx, as he's like moving around, his neck isn't all like this. Or the Gyarados that's flying in the air is like a two-frame animation. But
Until you get
unless you come a
closer
little
to
bit
it,
closer.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things about the game that I 100% think they could have polished out by pushing it until March. But I don't know. That's just what it is. Like we got the game. Maybe they'll patch it. Maybe they won't. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, since you're also a competitive battler, we've battled a few times. I've yet to win. That's still on my to-do list. I'll get you one of these days. But I really did like the implement of some of the, I guess, quality of life changes. I hope wasn't just exclusive to Legends, such as, I really love the move set thing now, where it's like these Pokemon learn these moves, even if it's breeding, like, when we get back to breeding and stuff, this Pokemon knew this move at one point, and it's just kind of always there. Like,
Mhm.
it's like, I would love to be able to test out a move set and have the other moves the Pokemon knows and be like, this isn't working out. Let me just, switch and swap, and there we go. We're good to go. I,
Yeah, getting rid of like TMs and HMs was genius. I thought it was awesome. And I love how they simplified EVs and IVs in the game with the grit items. So good. Did you mess around with that at all?
so I'm just now getting to it. I was saving all of it, and so I was like, all right, I'm eventually just gonna make me, even though there's no competitive battle, I'm gonna make this is my team. This is what I played through the game, but here's mine, and then I'm gonna do it. And so I've touched it a little bit, but it seems simple. You give them the pebbles until they can't have the pebbles no more. Then you can give them the rocks until they can't have the rocks no more. Then you can give them the stone or whatever the hierarchy of that is.
That's so good. Like you don't have to do any breeding for individual values. You don't have to do like EV training. Like I gotta go beat up, 250 Geodudes to max out my, defensive stat. You don't have to do that. It's so streamlined. So ideally the playing field would be leveled. The ease of entry into competitive battling with this type of system is going to be way easier, right? You're not going to need people to like gen or hack Pokemon to have the best 31 IVs across the board stats, right? You're not going to need to do that in order to go, right? Like you just need some grit items and they're relatively easy to get in the game. So I think that's super fun. The only thing that I just don't like is like you and I, we play competitive Pokemon. We know exactly. I don't think that the dev team really respected the 25 plus years of Pokemon battling in the game with the battle mechanics. I don't think that's it.
Oh no, not at all. Because I remember, so my opinion when I first started the game, my friend was like, "Man, don't you wish you could battle other people to some degree?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, of course it'd be cool." But now that I played through the game, I seen how battle works. You're right, because not only ignoring like the minutia of like stat training and stuff, the moves kind of generically just all kind of hit hard. Like no Pokemon surviving 3 hits from anything, it seems like, or at least that was my experience. If it hits neutral, you take 2 to 3 hits and that's it.
Yeah, and so battles go a lot quicker, which is fine. Like I'm okay with that. The thing that I don't like is just the blatant disregard for speed and turn order. I think there has been times where, I would go into a battle and like the enemy Pokemon would get like 1 extra move out of nowhere. They didn't even use Agile style. Like, what are you doing? Why am I eating a close combat for free? You just came out of nowhere and I lost a Pokemon. And then I throw in the next Pokemon and he uses close combat again. I'm like, dude, I just lost 2 Pokemon. I didn't even get a chance to go into the menu. Like, what is this? It's just so inconsistent. Like,
I know exactly what you're talking about. So one thing, I hate Paris now, and I hate Driflooms. Like, they are too aggro in this game. Like, I don't know what that is. I don't know if I need to go back and read every Pokédex intro for Paris, because I thought it was a skittish Pokemon. Apparently not Legends. They hate you. But I've had times where so to your point, I've used Quick Attack, which I don't know what priority moves mean in this game. Apparently nothing. Because I quick attacked Agile styled once, and I was like, okay, I should go like 4 times or something, and the Pokemon went immediately again after me, and I'm like, I don't know what this even means at this point. Strong style, I get. Agile style to me makes 0 sense. Like, I don't know. I know you're supposed to be able to have more moves, but I've had a sequence where I was in an actual battle, like with a trainer, and I used Agile style, and it was like I attack. They attack twice, and then I'm attacking for the next 3 turns after they attack twice. I never got to those 3 turns, but I was like, what am I gearing up here? I'm pretty sure there's some method to the madness, but yes, to your point, it just seems like it's just kind of random.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. It's like borderline unplayable at this point because like you come over here and you play Pokemon since Generation 1. It's decided, right? Every move has priority. You go, I go. You go, I go. If you have Quick Attack, you got priority +1. All right, cool, awesome. Respect it. This game is just like every move has its own like speed priority stat. Like Dialga, for example, like if you use Earth Power versus if you use Roar of Time. Roar of Time has like a super low speed stat. So if you use that, then more likely your opponent's going to get a couple more moves before you. It's really weird. It's convoluted, and as a purist with Pokemon, I don't think that they respected that at all. I love the idea of using like Agile style and Strong style for like +20% attack, -20% attack, but more speed. Like that's cool. That's a cool gimmick, but provided that they figure out all the previous stuff and incorporate it. I just think it's a really really low point for the game.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and it's weird because, like you said, we've implemented EVs and IVs. We implemented natures. We even have mints and things, but to a certain degree, in terms of battling, especially if they ever do some DLC where you can battle people, it's all going to become a moot point. Like, what does your speed stat really mean? What does honestly, with strong style, what does even your attack stat mean? Because the way I feel, if you're weak against something and someone strong styles it, chances are you're getting one hit KO'd. I mean, not guaranteed, but if we're talking evil level, like
Yeah,
you're going down, like that's it.
yeah, it's very powerful, for sure.
But so what do you think about the way they implemented? We talked about a little bit, but the legendaries in this game, with the whole quest and how they're doing it. I for someone looking from other genres of games, I thought it was very well implemented because I think about legendaries in the base game can get very convoluted, like especially if you remember trying to catch the Regis for the first time. That was like a whole codex of things. I remember reading, I was like, you have to know Braille to figure this out. I was like, that's next level for me. I don't know what's going on here. Where's the guide? The old fashioned had to buy in the store guide. Yeah, people, you had to do that at one point. You couldn't just hop on the internet. Scary times, I know. But I really like that in the future, if we could, I don't know how we just have quests to get certain legendaries. Like there's a whole mythical story behind it, and not really like some very convoluted thing that if you didn't look up, you'll never come across.
Yeah, I really respected the Manaphy quest. I don't know if you did that yet. The Manaphy and Fione quest. It was
I'm not
called.
there yet. I've heard it. I heard it was very long. That's all I really know about it.
Oh no, I mean it's pretty interesting. Like they have it's called a Seas Legend, and you need three Pokemon in your party in order to go to a certain spot in order to trigger it, right? And apparently, if you play Diamond or Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and you look at the inside the library, there is a book called A Seas Legend, and it tells you exactly which Pokemon are part of it. So it's really interesting that there's connection between those games. So yeah, I think that was really, really cool. Other than that, like honestly, I didn't do that. I just looked it up. I'm like, oh, how do I do this? You need 1, 2, and 3. How in the world am I supposed to know I'm supposed to bring those three Pokemon, right? So I thought that was really cool. One of the things too, like, is Pokemon has been really working on accessibility over the years and how easy the game is, right? In post game, you're really handheld. You're saying, okay, well, we're gonna hold your hand and give you the missions for all the legendaries, one after another. Here we go. We're gonna hold your hand and we're gonna do it. And as me, who's been around all the blocks, and if you miss a legendary catch, you know what? You're done. That's on you, dude. Right? If you didn't save beforehand and you accidentally got a crit and knocked it out instead of leaving it at 1 HP, you messed up and you had to reset the game, right? Like I love that. But in this game, that's not so much. Like you knock out an Azelf, and then the quest is like, fades to black. It's like, yeah, you got to catch that Pokemon. Go ahead and try again.
I didn't know that. I've yet to actually knock anyone. Because, I'm like you, I'm old school. So I'm like, you're in the yellow. I'm not hitting you again. Because the way Legends works, I'm like, I will probably kill you. Like, that's most of the alpha Pokemon, too. I'm like, because, they can take really hard hits. I mean, because they're over leveled most times. Yeah. But because they're alpha stats or whatever. But I made the mistake of killing an alpha Alakazam, and I killed the alpha Garchomp. And then after that, I was like, okay, no. Again, to your point, the battling is too unpredictable to play this correctly, quote unquote.
Yeah, and maybe they add that as a safeguard because they know that you're going to get a wild crit out of nowhere. But I thought it was really funny. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just knocked out my Azelf and I didn't save for like 3 or 4 hours and autosave is off. This is terrible. I'm not going to have him for my decks now. But then it faded to black and it's like, you need to catch this Pokemon in order to beat the mission. Try again. I'm like, oh, wow. Talk about accessibility. Cool. Like,
now that you have told me that, I am now taking off my guard and it's just a free-for-all. And I was like, yeah, I'll risk it. So, well, thanks. I didn't know that. I didn't know what the game was going to do. Because my autosave is off, and after I remember I died in a space-time rift once, and I was just like, haven't saved in an hour, but like I had like a moonstone, I had very precious evolution items that I found in the rift. It was like you lost them all, and I was like, nope, I haven't saved in an hour. That's okay. I can, because I'm not going through that pain. I'm not banking on someone finding my bag because I only found the bag once and not a bag of an actual player. I've only ever found one once, and I was like, I'm not waiting for someone to try to find this.
That's all right. Yeah, I mean the game's pretty interesting about the whole save scumming concept, but as Pokemon players that we've been around for so long, save scumming is part of our blood.
Yeah.
Right? What it is. You save before your legendaries, right? You save before the Elite Four in case you don't win. Like, it's just what it is.
Yeah, you caught a rare Pokemon, a shiny, you immediately save the game. Like,
Hmm.
you gotta cement it in your place. I've heard stories of people having random software shutdowns and losing hours of progress. It only happened to me once recently, very recently. It happened at random. It was literally like within like 10 minutes of me starting up the game. So I was just like, oh well, I don't know. I gotta talk to 3 people and like leave the area again. So
Yeah.
be it. But I haven't had any hard issues with that. What about you? Any
No issues whatsoever. No. The only thing that's my biggest gripe is collision in the game. I think that collision is absolute trash. As far as like, I don't know, you're trying to catch a Pokemon with like a wing ball or something like that, and you got the reticle right on them, maybe a little bit under them, and then maybe the terrain is a little hilly. You throw it and it like bounces somehow off the ground in front of it. If you ever went to go catch the unknown Pokemon, right? Have you seen any of those yet?
Oh yeah, I have about I think I'm at like 10 or 15. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
unless you hit
yeah.
them right in the eye, it just misses or has
Yeah,
like some
the
weird
collision,
non-hit thing.
collision is just so bad, man. Like even when there's a Pokemon right in front of you and you have a wing ball and you lock onto them and you chuck it at them, somehow it bounces off the ground in front of them when you have them locked on. Or like the unknown, there was an unknown like on the Magikarp's left eye, all the way in like the Jubilife village, right? So you have to sneak around from the back, and then you just launch these balls. You can have it pinpoint on there, but like it somehow like deflects off, and you don't actually get it, and you're wasting all these Pokeballs, and it just gets frustrating, right? Like, those are your resources. Like, it costed me money. All these Pokeballs cost me money. It's not like I could pick it up off the ground and do it, but anyway, so yeah, collision in the game was pretty janky, and don't even get me started about like trying to catch Pokemon while you're on top of Basculegion, man. That is a nightmare. That is a nightmare. Yo, you lock onto this Mantine in the water, and you throw a Pokeball, and it just goes into the water, and it doesn't touch them, right? And you're like, oh, I'm gonna do the cool Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild slow motion, like in the air, but then it's like you throw and then it's like it's delayed like a second, so you launch off a foot and you're like, dude, I wasted my ultra ball, man.
All
What the
right,
heck?
since
Forget
since we're
this.
talking about Basculegion, let's talk about Basculegion. Basculin, the pre-evolved form.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what type of vision they gave this Pokemon in this game, but I swear they see you coming from like 10 miles away. To me, it has been hands down the most frustrating Pokemon to catch. One, for you said the slow mo. First of all, when you're on the slow mo, you're like the worst type of slow mo. It's like you're moving just enough to where any throw you make in slow mo will probably miss, because as you throw it, Basculegion is falling from whatever angle you're at to make your throw at some weird stupid angle, and unless it's big, like Mantime's at least it's big, so you have some room for error. But Basculin is small, and everything else in the water is basically small, and it's like I'm never gonna hit you guys. It's like I'm just praying to God this ball connects. And then here's another problem when graphical error becomes an issue. I really can't see what's in the water once I'm jumping. Like, I can tell where it's at more or less. I can see the reticle. Again, this is for smaller fish Pokemon, and it's just like
Yeah.
I don't really know what's gonna happen here. I really
Yeah.
feel like from the programming stance, you should have A, made this Pokemon less aggro, and B, at least gave me some room for error to get. Because I mean, so here's the thing I've noticed: if I try to snipe a Pokemon where I can't lock on, but I have enough throwing space, with the Jet Ball or anything, to try to hit it, I swear I've had times where I know I've hit this Pokemon, but the game has been like, nope, you're technically too far for this to count, and I have
Right.
to get closer.
Yeah, that's one of the things too. Like, I didn't really like that. Like, okay, so a Pokeball is, a mechanism that as long as it touches a Pokemon, it should crack open. The Pokemon should be absorbed inside it, right? So, like, if you're throwing Jet Balls, for example, Jet Balls go up to like 50 meters or something, right? If it's 51 meters and you throw it at that Pokemon, it's just gonna doink them in the head, and then they're gonna get aggroed. Have you ever witnessed
Yeah,
that before?
yes, I'm glad, because I thought it was just me, like I don't know what the
No.
range, but there's been
No.
several Pokemon where I'm like, oh, look at this alpha, I'm about to get this perfect back throw.
Yeah.
It's big enough to where I don't need the lock on. It's just I'm just gonna hit it, and like I said, you doink it. Now it's aggro. Now it's like, well,
Yep.
I had the perfect setup. I was aligned. I did everything right.
Yeah.
but
Then you're off
somehow
by like a meter. And somehow the Pokeball just doesn't work. And don't get me started about the don't get me started about the design of the Pokeball, right? So you know how the Pokeball has like a little notch on top of it?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a rocket. It's a straight up like exhaust filled rocket missile. There's a missile built into the Pokeball, right? Because whenever you do trades in Pokemon, the Pokeball goes upside down. The
Yeah.
rocket just like a rocket in space, man. And then they trade over there. So like you're telling me that this unused technology of the Pokeball can't be used in the game, right? Like light it up and then just like let it go. Like how do we not do that? It's like Professor Laventon only allows you to do that whenever you trade. No, man. Like that's not it. Like it's a rocket built in. I should be able to, I don't know, like flip a switch on it and launch it.
I'm getting in the weeds here, but so I remember the firework thing. I was like, oh, this is old timey. It's cute. It can't make a chime, so it has like a little, I don't know, firecracker in it when the Pokemon's caught to like light and signify you caught it. And I was like, that's kind of cute. But then, like you said, I started thinking about things like the rocket mechanism and other things, and I'm like, so the Pokeball design. If you've ever seen a Pokemon Forever, the Pokemon movie with Celebi, these are very eerily close to the Pokeballs that Professor Oak used in his youth because Ash traveled back in time. He's Professor Oak when he's a kid. I don't know if they intentionally did that or it's just a coincidence. But so ever since then, Professor Oak has old timey Pokeballs, and that dial at the top. The way it works is you had to literally, twist it off like a bottle cap to open your Pokeball for the Pokemon to come out. Cause it's old timey, and I remember seeing it's like, oh cool, we're gonna see that. That's cool. We're gonna see an anime thing where I'm gonna have to like, when we battle, we're gonna see like some little quirky animation of
Wow.
twisting it and I was like, oh no, they work just like a regular Pokeball. And then I know people had a fit on Twitter over is it canonical what Laventon said about all Pokemon can shrink and they all just shrink. I'm taking that as non-canon. I hope that's not canon or ever becomes canon because that's nonsense to me. So I'm like, you're telling me every Pokemon has the ability to shrink, whether that's an organic ability or not. They can all just change size and they're all just like, yeah, I'm just gonna shrink and go into this because that makes sense. I don't know why that's a hill I want to die on, but that just bothered me for some reason. I don't know why. Like in my
Yeah, I don't
soul.
understand that. What are you talking about? The ability to shrink? Like, I mean, like whenever a Pokeball touches a Pokemon, they shrink into the Pokeball. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so if it's a bit of dialogue towards the beginning of the game when Professor Laventon explains to you what a Pokeball is. I'm sure you could like YouTube or something. And he literally says all Pokemon have the ability to shrink. And that's why like they're comfortable in the Pokeball because they just shrink down themselves. They themselves all have this innate ability to shrink.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah. So the interpretation of having the ability to shrink was probably worded differently than maybe the localization team worded that in ways that people took it. Like, oh, you're telling me that this Mewtwo over here or this Arceus or insert Pokemon here can shrink down to a miniature size. Okay, I see what you're talking about. I think that's
yeah.
an interpretation and translation kind of a misstep, but
Oh yeah, no, I agree 100%. Even if it wasn't like, I'm pretty sure I would take it as ignorance of the time because they don't have ways to explain it. But also, it's just the community took that to heart and ran with it. And I remember thinking, I was like, guys, this game literally starts off with you getting isekai. Like, Icarus is like, hey, Arceus is like, hey, what's up, kid? I'm about to like send you into like alternate timeline past. And so I'm like, at that point, anything the game says outside of the new Pokemon, anything the game says to me at that point is just nonsense.
yeah. And you know what was nonsense? I felt that the concept of seek out all Pokemon, seek out all Pokemon. Those four words, I got so upset with, right? Like I remember playing through the game once and I was like, oh, in the previous game, if you see every Pokemon, as in like, okay, there's a Rapidash, I got it registered as saw and not caught. That's me seeking it. Seeking out all Pokemon is not catching every single one, but like having the entire 241 decks, like just seen. So I go over the top of the mountain and I play the flute. Like cutscene happens, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get Arceus now. This is perfect. And then I get the little dialogue that says, but nothing happened. I'm like, what are you talking about? Seek out all Pokemon, dude. I got them. I've seen them all. It's like I haven't caught them all, but like they're there, and I just have to evolve a few. But like I got really upset about that. Seek out all Pokemon, dude. That is so that can be construed and taken out of context, like I did. Ugh. Anyway,
Maybe this is just a trait of like long term Pokemon fans. Like these little details, like wait, nope, hold on, sir. You see, I have a pedigree here that says,
yeah,
that I'm a certified Pokemon master at this point.
yeah, yeah.
What you have told me to do and what is actually happening are in conflict with one another. I
And it's so
need.
weird, right? Because like you do that if you technically see all the Pokemon in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, you're going to get rewarded, right? You're going to get rewarded with the National Dex. That's it. You don't have to catch them all. So I thought that was going to be the exact same thing. So coming straight off of that game, that's what I thought was going to be because it's the same region. So all right, whatever. I'll go and catch them and evolve whatever I need. But it's good. It's good.
Yeah. You know. So I guess that's pretty much all the gripes. So back to the compliment sandwich where you
Yeah.
compliment what you can fix, compliment. One thing that I want to see going forward, and I think this has probably been the most important aspect to me, because I remember when we got to play the DLC in Sword and Shield, I was like, this is probably what Pokemon's going to be in the future. This separation, the removal of the border between like outworld and town, like they're going to be one and the same. And, and we saw a little bit of what that could be like in Legends, when you go to like the Pearl settlement and you go to the Diamond settlement or any quote unquote town area that's in the different biomes. And I was like, so we already explored it, we made it a little bit better, but now I want to see it fully realized in the sense of exploration. It was such euphoria to find rare Pokemon and either rare or unexpected locations. Like you look at your map and they're like, oh, there's a tiny pond here. There's just it's like a seamless, insignificant pond, but this is the one area this Pokemon appears. This is the only place in the whole game. Or just when you're like, smashing rocks or a tree. Like I remember when I finally saw a Charium for the first time, I was like over halfway through the game. And I was hitting every tree every time I saw one. And then there's just other Pokemon that like me as a long-term player, I know is rare. And being like, I remember the first time I saw Rotom, I was like, oh, I have to catch this one. This is gonna be the only one I'm gonna see forever. And it's like, oh no, you see like 20 of them, you're fine. But in other Pokemon, I'm thinking like, oh, this is a common Pokemon. Oh, here's a Vulpix. And then I realized like, man, Vulpix really don't appear like that for some
Yeah.
strange reason.
Yeah, yeah. I mean overall, like a lot of people are thinking like the game should have been bigger. Like Breath of the Wild size, right? You take a look at the map of Breath of the Wild and you take a look at it compared to Pokemon Legends over here, and Pokemon Legends is like 1/10, maybe 1/20th of the size of it, right? I think that this size was like absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. You don't have to traverse more than like a couple seconds until like another Pokemon spawns. Like there's a little area where these spawns are. There's over here. You don't have to travel so far distances. So I think that it honestly worked out. Would I have liked it to be seamless versus like, going back to Jubilife and then choosing the area, which region you want to go to, and then loading screen? Would I have liked it seamless? Absolutely. But I think it worked. I think it worked very well for exactly like you said. Like, there's a little pond over here. That's where that Pokemon spawns. Like, that's great for the amount of 242 Pokemon in the Dex right now. I think it worked out flawlessly. They did a really good job of spacing out all the different spawns in those overworlds, and still to this day, like I've played this game for like over 100 hours, man, and like I'm still learning where these different spawns are. I just think it's just really fun to look around and you might find a little crevice or a crack that you didn't explore and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this Pokemon spawned here. Cool, right?
Yeah, and to your point, even though the map is not as huge as some people may have wanted, I'm with you. I think it was the perfect size for what it was doing. But so this is the cool thing. But what I like is there's the map is segment off in like these weird divide. I don't know how they divide it, but you could clear it out and you get the name of the area. But even if you've gotten to the area, you've got the name, there's still spots of it you haven't explored. You can see the map fully, filled out with, but I still find myself like I'll be exploring an area and I didn't climb over this hill, or there was a cave that I didn't know, or a slight entrance. And it's like, here's a whole new world of Pokemon like that I've probably seen, but now here's an area where I can see them more frequently. Or maybe there wasn't one I've seen, like, you can there's evolve you can see pretty much catch any evolved form, and I'll come across and be like, oh crap, this is where you were this whole time. I thought I had to evolve you, but this is where like the middle form's just been hanging out this whole time.
Yeah.
And that sense of discovery is something I feel like we don't see in the series as much. Like, it's still cool. I still see new Pokemon. I try to not be, spoiled by the internet. But I can't think of the last time that, like, these are all Pokemon more or less that we know. I can't think of the last time, like, I entered an area, found a Pokemon, and had a sense of, like, this is amazing. That true sense of discovery that was just, of course, when the series was new, it was all the time. And just now with this perspective switch and, different way of looking at it, it's all brand new again. And I don't know if we could go back. But I mean, I don't think the next game will necessarily be all of this and more. But I think this game has made it to where the course there's certain aspect of the core series I'm not sure we can go back to now.
Yeah, agree with you on that. This game is just it's done so many things right, and I love it.
And so, if you could, what would you take from this battling system? Let's say we're gonna be battling in 3D now. Would you? Because I'm an old school fan that, like, I feel like other than the perspective change and maybe some cool animations and the trainers doing stuff, I feel like I know people want it to change, but I honestly like be like a Final Fantasy remake, some mix of like turn based and input. But I really think as the core Pokemon, it can't ever move from turn based. I don't know if that's a controversial opinion, but I think if you do that, it will mess something up somehow.
Hmm. Yeah. Like, yeah, can you imagine if it was like action based? Like, you bring out your, I don't know, your Landorus, for example, and instead of turn based, like, you're moving around Landorus and, you press the A button to do, earth power. You press the Y button to dodge aside. You press like the B button to use like extra sensory. Like, can you imagine if Pokemon was based off of that and like literally nimbly dodging? Like active turn. Can you imagine? Didn't they make a Pokemon game like that? I don't know. I'm thinking of another franchise that did something like that. So,
I haven't played every spin-off. That sounds like that might be something. I mean, to a certain degree, I guess it sounds like Pokemon Go, since you can swipe left and right sometimes to actively dodge. But yeah, like an active, I really don't think that's in terms of the battling. Like, I really feel like the battling. That's one thing I feel like as long as Pokemon goes on until the sun burns out, has to more or less be the same. Yeah, we might get new gimmicks every now and again, but yeah, I can't. I don't know if it's because I'm an old man now when it comes to Pokemon.
No, I agree with you. You know what? No need to explain it anymore. I agree. It should be turn-based. And the gimmicks of Dynamax, Mega Evolution, they add a gimmick every now and then, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, the core value is you go first if you're faster or have priority moves, and then I'll go. And then we respect that. It's like a chess game. Like chess, for example, is exactly that. It's been around for hundreds of years and it has not changed, right? And that's okay, because that is what Pokemon is. And if you want to do a spin-off title where you can control whatever Pokemon you want, then that'll just be a spin-off and you can try it, right? But
yeah. 100% agree. The chess analogy is perfect. And like you said earlier, the entry to competitive battling is easy. It becomes easier. And it doesn't make competitive battling any less hard, because competitive battling, it's knowing the meta, knowing what Pokemon do, knowing your matchups, knowing, have the intuition to know when to switch, when to stay, the mind games of, guessing and stuff. And, and plus, as someone who's competitive battle, especially at PAX and stuff, no hack team ever makes up for that.
Yeah. Right, you can have like 31 IVs and everything, but like if you don't know the meta and all the moves and what Pokemon do, then you're gonna get owned.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure like you, I've had my fair share of battles of teams full of perfect shinies that, come on, man, you're just advertising at this point, and they still lost.
Yeah, I'll play them.
Yeah, or your random team of like all legendaries, where you're just like, in my mind, anyone that comes with a team of all legendaries is destined to lose, because that means you literally do not understand this game. I mean, right. It can make it hard for me, but I could be like, all right, this is what I need to watch out for. Once this one goes down, they're all coming down like dominoes.
Oh,
Or
oh,
my favorite ones, they know legendaries are powerful. They throw out legendaries and they'll use a move, like maybe like their signature move or something. You're like, oh, you're not even set up to win. You just threw like hyper beam, special legendary move unique to this Pokemon, and like moves with 100 power. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. You're not about to set up. Okay, yes. I just a little personal. I remember this was back in this person was a kid. His team was hacked, but he was a kid, so I gave him some leeway. He had like Zekrom, Rashim, the trio, and I basically had a fully trained Minshao and high jump kicked his team to like the end of time, and his mind was blown. He was like, I don't understand how. I'm like, well, this Minshao's maxed out on speed and attack. It's a glass cannon, and to your legendaries, which I assume don't have any EVs anywhere. I mean, this was early hacks, so who knows? They were probably just in the game. I was like, yeah, they just went down like fodder, and he was just like, I don't understand what happened.
yeah, but I mean, like that concept, that's not here. That's not a thing in this generation.
Yeah.
Legends Arceus, and that's kind of a mess, right? Like, there's no leaderboards, there's no ranking, there's no, I don't know, cups that you can compete in with. No, like take Pokemon Go for example. They do like battle leagues, like battle seasons where you can only use these Pokemon, right? So try and make a team out of these Pokemon, right? Can you imagine if Pokemon Legends Arceus and the dev team had like another 4 or 5 months to work on this game? How cool it would be. But the trend more recently with game devs, and especially Nintendo and all of their titles, is release an unfinished game and we'll patch it later, right? We'll patch it later. Oh, we'll patch this in. It'll be a free update, right? It's just, no, man. Like, us in the industry, like, we can see right through that. And I don't know why that's becoming even more acceptable to do that, right? Like, people can say that, oh, Pokemon Legends Arceus, that's a complete game. Like, me, on the other hand, it's not polished. There's a lot of issues with it. And it's kind of shortcutted, like from all the other Pokemon games. Sword and Shield has like competitive online battling. Like we don't have that. You can just trade online. It sounds like the dev team just couldn't meet deadlines. So they're like, all right, well, you know what? You keep on working on that. And within a month, whenever you're finished with it, we'll do a free update. Or we'll charge them $19.99 for the multiplayer DLC. Right? Like it's just becoming more and more acceptable in this day and age of game development because, obviously they don't want dev crunch where they work their employees overtime and that's fine. Like I respect, not doing dev crunch, right? But at the same time, like you can't be like pulling the sheet over our eyes and say that this is complete when in fact going track record is every single, mainline Pokemon game you can battle with others. Like, come on now.
Yeah, it's and I guess speaking overall of the industry, they have to compete with free to play, which is becoming popular. We're seeing like Halo, like long term series having some free to play model, and then and I guess that's the excuse, quote unquote. It's like, well, we didn't charge you to play the game, and then so other parts are coming later, and then we have traditional $60 fully complete games are kind of becoming a thing of the past because now it's expected that every game you play is going to have DLC at some point. And sometimes it used to be the DLC was like, oh, this is fun, this is legit extra, it's almost like another game, and now DLC is becoming like this is the rest of the game.
Yeah, like day one DLC, or it's just like, oh yeah, I didn't get this feature in the game, and then like the average fan's gonna be like, oh, hope and pray that they're gonna DLC it in. Like, no, don't be naive. That's not gonna happen. Like, get out of here.
And I mean, I wouldn't want a competitive. I wouldn't want maybe like a multiplayer DLC, just like you could run around with your friend and just kind of like any quest, any like Pokédex points they do goes on yours and vice versa. Just
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun. But like in terms of battling, I don't think there's no fixing this battle system. I don't think the balance and time that'll have to go into it. They might do it where you can battle other people, I'm sure at some point, but it's just gonna be a mess. Like it'll be fun for maybe younger players or people who don't know, but like me and you, there will be no fun to be had. It'll be like, yeah, bro, let's just roll the dice and see what happens.
That's exactly what the battle is right now. But I think that if they're gonna do a battle update, they're going to make it back to traditional turns. Like if you switch out a Pokemon, that's your turn. You're done, man. Because like certain times in the game, you switch out your Pokemon and you could still attack, right? Like no, that's not how it works. So if they fix some minor stuff, I wouldn't honestly mind keeping agile style and strong style because that's their gimmick for this generation, right? Whatever, keep it. But as long as the turn order is 100% respected, then I'm good. But are they going to do that? Who knows, man? Who knows?
You know, I'm not gonna say that's a small ass out of all the things that's wrong with it. You're like, respect the turn order and I'll do it everything else. I was like, that's actually not I'm not a dev, but I would imagine that's probably like a simple request.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's not hard. And you know that they have a team of people that develop the entire battling mechanic in the game, right? And you know there's conversations about certain teammates that are like 100% purists that have been with the company for 20 years. And they're like, well, this is what it is. The turn order has to be. And then you know that like other people are just like, maybe not. Let's try something new. So it's like there's a lot of clash. And you know these conversations are happening.
Yeah.
And it's just like right now, I feel like the big leader of the devs are like, okay, where are we at on this battle system? And just give me what you have. Give me what you have. We'll put it in, right? And then maybe later we'll touch base. Shelf that for now. Let's see how the sales do. If they want something, if there's an outcry for it, then we'll go ahead and revisit, right?
Yeah.
I think that's how it's working.
Yeah, sales have been phenomenal.
Uh,
No surprise there. And I know, I believe the mechanic is called action order in most RPGs that do it that way. And I've seen good action order titles. Child of Light comes to mind, where it's like, here's everyone's gonna attack, and then there's the minute things you can do to rearrange it from a strategic standpoint. This is not it. This is like an example of like babies first, action order title. And because I remember I was excited, cause like, oh, this could be really cool. Like, I mean, we probably won't see it in the mainline game, but to think like, oh, I can think ahead and do a move now and run the gambit of getting attacked twice to have maybe like a 3-stack order. But we've already beat this horse enough that yeah, it's basically just a throwaway at this point.
yeah. There's a lot of babies first in this game. Babies first open world, babies first action turn order, babies first animated graphics from very far away, right? Like it's,
it's bad. It's bad, but I find it endearing. Like when you see big Pokemon animated from far away and they go 8-bit style. And then you get close, they go regular. Like I was thinking, I was like, I wonder what the conversation on that was. It's like, should we just not have them load at all? And then someone's like, but no, we want them to know that like it's there in the distance. And they're like, not load at all or go to like 8-bit style.
I mean, it's that's honestly a gripe that I have too. Like, it's not consistent, right? You've got the flying Pokemon like Gyarados that are permanently like flying in a circle. That's their entire existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see them from very, very far away. But the Pokemon that are spawns on the ground, you can't see them until you're a lot closer. So I would have liked more consistency with that. Even if the spawns on the ground were like 8-bit, like 2-frame animation, kind of working like that until you get a little bit closer, I would have loved that. I don't like the inconsistency of that because like, yo, I'm soaring all the way over here for a Bonsley, right? This thing is super rare. Like, where are you? I want to be able to see you before they kind of spawn in. But anyway, little gripes.
So before we wrap up this show, and thank you for joining me, it's been a great time. I have one, food for thought question. What would you like more? This to see Legends continued on in the main series, not, all of it, but in the parts that make sense. Or just have like Legends be its own separate series where we get more games like this, but they're not mainline games. They're just like in what would be this series of open world adventures in whatever form it continues to take.
Okay, so one more time. You want me to have more Legends spin-offs or more mainline 2D top down? What do we
So basic question is, would you like to see Legends continued as like a spin-off series, or to incorporate what happened in Legends in the mainline games?
I think that's both, man. That goes hand in hand, right? Like you want everything. Like you want whatever they've done in this game, you want that to go into like the next upcoming generation, whatever, 9 if we're on that right now. Like I think it's the building blocks. It's the building blocks of it. If they tweak the equation, make battling not 10% of the game, right? And make catching not 90%. And if they even it out, like instead of You know, going through like Nugget Bridge, for example, in Generation 1, right? There was like 10 little trainers in a row and you have to go through the gauntlet, right? Where you can just walk up to a person and like press the A button, say, hey, yo, you want to battle? And then you can earn money that way. Or you can just completely ignore them, right? That would be really cool if there's a lot more of that. But honestly, I love the idea of doing something new that they've done in this. And what was that? It was discovering things in the past, right? Where people were afraid of Pokemon, right? I mean, they even name dropped different regions, right? They name dropped Kanto, and you know, some people were from like other regions. So like that being said, like those regions exist. Pokemon are over there. So just give us another back in time, like back in time kind of a deal, where maybe instead of just like a rift and you get a message from Arceus, you can just say, hey, this character with this exact character model from Legends right over here, like Akari and Ray, like now they've got an assignment from Professor Laventon to go to Galar, to go to Kanto and see what Pokemon are over there in that exact time period. So you don't necessarily have to use the space-time rift equation, and you can just go over there with the Pokeballs, and you can see, oh wow, here's like Professor Oak's ancestor, right? And you can just like see what's going on. Oh, they got different Pokeballs over here and different species of Pokemon. That's great, right? Like it would be a perfect sequel. Like you could just have this entire Legends, like kind of side story, right? And just do the exact same thing. I think it would be phenomenal. So the answer is all of the above.
Hey,
Of course,
that's
you're not going anything else. Like you see over here, you're never gonna go back to 2D unless you're doing like a remake, like Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. Like no, this is the way. This is great. I love what they did here. Just
yeah.
fix up a couple things. That's all.
Yeah, I think that was probably my favorite as a Pokemon fan purist. That was my favorite part, just seeing like the evolution of Pokemon people's relationships, seeing people like they're just these wild creatures that could destroy us, and being like this is the building bridge of like modern society where people and Pokemon could uh not coexist. Like they're one of they're the same side. They're two sides of the same coin. They need each other to thrive and evolve. And to your point, I like that when you meet people from different regions, because I find it interesting. Because there was some NPC that was like, oh, I'm from Kanto and battling's big over there. They're like, that's what we do. That's the way of life there. And that's so insane to think about, that these different regions have different ways of life with Pokemon. Like how like in Alola they view Pokemon different, in Galar they view Pokemon different, and whereas one region's like, oh, they're scary things meant to not be messed with. One region's like, no, they're not tools of war, but we fight them.
Yeah, I love it. It's just really cool. I think it was a great step. It was a great step to like instead of reinventing the wheel, right? Like just work with what you already have and expand on the lore.
Yeah, most
Good.
definitely.
Like
And
you don't
there's
need 100 new Pokemon, right? Like at this time, the entire dev team they're having a hard time coming up with new Pokemon, right? You got an ice cream Pokemon, you got a sandcastle Pokemon, you got a garbage bag Pokemon. Like, come on. Like, how many designs are we doing over here? I mean, there are even certain Mega Pokemon that, like Flygon, for example. He was supposed to get a Mega Evolution, but the designers had like writer's block, creative block. Couldn't figure out what it was going to look like, so we never got one. So, like, I don't know, man. There's a lot going on, but do we necessarily need a next generation with all of 100 new Pokemon added to the list so that the entire going rate of Pokemon right now is like over 1,000? Do we need that? Or do we necessarily want to revisit older generations in a new way, like we've done over here with Sinnoh?
Yeah.
So,
If
yeah,
Legends has taught us anything, because I don't know what the exact number of purely new Pokemon is, but it's not a lot. We have some new forms, we have some purely new Pokemon, but yeah, I feel it's proof that you can add like 10 new Pokemon and still have it feel amazing and new, and maybe a different form or two, and it's like, you're not giving us a lot in terms of volume, but in terms of new and creative and fun, there's plenty there. No, there's plenty of times in Legends I was like, oh, this is amazing. Oh, this is a different form. Oh, this is a new Pokemon. And I didn't need that 100 times over, to your point. But Abdallah, thank you for joining me. It's been a blast. Where can people find you, keep up with you, support you, do all that good stuff?
yeah, just Google search Abdallah Smash. You'll find me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, all that stuff. And yeah, I'd love to have you on board. But yeah, seriously, thank you so much for having me on board. This is great. I absolutely love talking about Pokemon. I mean, you don't honestly get too many hot takes about what's wrong with the game. Wherever you listen to, everyone's always praising it. But the fact that you and I are like competitive battle purists, and we know what we like, right? We can easily spit out these hot takes. So I hope that you guys all enjoyed listening to this, and yeah, let us know if you agree with any of it.
Yeah, so make sure you go follow Abdallah on all his channels. As always, you can find the show at FC Podcast 23 on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me always at Harmon Jr. on any of your favorite social media. Thank you for joining this Pokemon Talk. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Like you said, if you thought our hots were too tech, have a conversation with us. Join the dialogue. But as always, everyone, have a great week. Be blessed. Until next time, bye.
See ya.